UFC 279 just recently wrapped up. I am going to break down and react to the entire card. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you're new, subscribe, turn those post notifications on, and make sure to share the video as well. Let's get into UFC 279. We won't start with the main event. We'll go from the prelims all the way up. First fight of the night was Yohan Lainesse and Darian Weeks. I will be honest with you guys. I scored this fight 2-1 for Weeks, but incredibly close matchup. I see how the scorecard could have gone either way here. I really wasn't super impressed by the offensive output of either one of them, but you have to say, Yohan maybe landed a few more significant looking strikes early, which could have maybe stolen that first round. Second round, Weeks finishes strong. Third round, bit of a toss-up. Ultimately, the fight was a coin flip matchup. I thought Weeks would win the fight, and honestly, the way that it looked was pretty similar to how I imagined, just went the other way as far as the scorecard. Close decision. I will say something. Actually, take that back. It wasn't exactly like I imagined, because I would have predicted, and I did, that Yohan was going to come out a little more aggressive. To me, his style would be so much more efficient if instead of lowering the volume to address the cardiovascular issue, I think the dude just needs to go crazy with his cardio training, because I believe it can get better. He needs to come out harder in fights. It was low volume, and Weeks, kind of a slow starting guy and fairly low volume too. He's happy to just, control against the cage and the clinch. Didn't really have that type of success here. Not super impressed by either. Lainesse gets the win. First in the UFC also, but that hype on him for me has dropped a bit. He's known as a power puncher, but hasn't really been letting it go now that the gas tank issue was addressed and that loss to Gabe Green. Fight number 2, Elise Reed and Melissa Martinez. Reed looked dominant in this fight and exposed Martinez here. Good underdog if you played her. Super close expectation, I guess, as far as the skill sets. In reality, Reed was better with the grappling. She was definitely more dangerous with the hands. Martinez has good kicks, but they're not super effective in actually doing damage. Reed dropped her with a big straight. I noticed Melissa Martinez, she has a pause for just a moment as she's throwing shots entering the pocket, especially straight. She overshoots, and the head is there to be hit. Reed did capitalize. Right hands were landing a bit. At least Reed actually looked really good. I was impressed by her performance here. She's still very young in the weight class as far as experience goes. Moves to what? 2 wins and 2 losses in the UFC. At strawweight, the win is over Corey McKenna, who's a fairly decent prospect, but she still got some bad losses. I don't necessarily know where Reed is going to reach. 29, now is, prime time. But what we really learned from this fight, Martinez, I don't know, maybe not necessarily ready for the jump. I mean, she was 7-0, but opponent level, iffy. The girl that she did beat and then get to the UFC, which was a long time ago now, Desiree Yanez, losing fights in Bellator. It was a super close split decision there. Reed dominates her, looks good. I'm not saying cut Martinez. They'll keep her around. I believe she'll fight again. Probably someone debuting, maybe someone coming off of a loss, or maybe even someone they're trying to build. But we'll see what Melissa Martinez has to go next. She's still very young at just 25. There could be a lot of time for improvement, and she definitely could turn it around. Reed, not old, 29, really in the prime at this point. We'll see how far she can reach. A lot of girls are going to be able to out-grapple her towards the top, but she is a quick kickboxer and is tricky to deal with. So got to give her some love there. Good straight shots, and it was an impressive performance overall. Next fight, Alateng, Heili, and Chad Anheliger. Listen, Alateng Heili looked A1 in my opinion. The shots were clean overhand strikes, hooks. And Anheliger was still game and in there giving it his best go, but he got cracked up, bloodied. He was definitely pushed to the test. Alateng wins by a decision, but did show some dynamic knockout power. For Anheliger, this is a tragic loss, I think, for his career, because at 35 at bantamweight and now losing to Alateng Heili, it may be too late to really ever work towards that contendership level. But I still think Anheliger is a fun guy in the roster. Entertaining fights. I like him fighting strikers because I do think he's an enjoyable guy to watch strike. And Alateng Heili just a little too powerful, a little bit too physically strong. And Anheliger right now, I still think is in a position where you can continue to put him on cards and people will tune in, because I do think he's got people enjoying his style. I know some people out there liking that Anheliger flow because he does bring it. He comes to scrap, and even against Alateng Heili, tested a ton, and there was a lot of powerful, damaging shots that landed on him. Weathers the storm, survives, still's throwing back. Overall, overall, as far as discipline to stay strong when the fight's really not going your way, and Anheliger's proven hard. That's really what I'm saying here. So Alateng, Heili, clearly the better guy, but Anheliger, gutsy performance in the loss. Alateng moves up the weight class here at bantamweight. I don't really feel contendership when I look at him, but I see more prelim fights, fun matchups, but certain levels he'll reach it, and I do think he'll get stopped. Next one, women going after it here. It is Norma Dumont versus Danyelle Wolf. Norma Dumont clearly beat the boxer and honestly dropped her, hurt her, looked like she was near stopping her, outboxed her. For Danyelle Wolf being the amateur boxer with the pedigree she's so, said they had, she national champ. At the end of the day, she never went to the Olympics, so she wasn't like the top class. And I know people say, oh, they didn't have that weight class. Still, we didn't see her at that level. We don't really know how great she is. I know we can kind of hype it up as if she would have been. She was the best, USA boxing nationals for, I believe, 2 times. She's done grappling competitions. She's a very good athlete. But I think that she's to be taken seriously as a contender. No, I think that she'll lose to a lot of these girls, kind of proven whole in the ground game, but also just the boxing striking versus MMA is different. Dumont found a lot of shots striking. She can strike for sure. Now, kind of talk of her maybe fighting for a title against Amanda Nunes next. She just lost to Macy Chasson. I don't really love the idea of that. I don't think that makes any sense for Amanda Nunes, but the fact that women's featherweight doesn't actually exist, Norma Dumont's the number 1 contender there, I guess. So you give it to Norma, maybe. 1 fight win streak, recent loss, but still good performances in between, 4-1 in the last 5. Amanda destroys her, I think. It would be a very dominant win for Nunes, especially at 45. Wolf, she'll probably stick around. I don't know who the hell she'll fight. Someone in that women's featherweight class, who do we put her against? That women's featherweight is Zara Farron, I think, is women's featherweight. Match her up with her, maybe. Have a striking match, but I think Wolf will be put on her back. Overall, Wolf was tested against a pretty decent fighter. I think at 39, it's safe to say she won't make that turn towards elite. We'll see if she gets a UFC win. That's what I'm curious about, and she will stick around. They'll definitely be bringing her back for another matchup. Decent little fight there, though. These two, there was good moments in. Next bout, Chris Barnett and Jake Collier in an absolute war. How incredible was it for Chris Barnett? Comeback win. He was nearly knocked out in the first minute of the fight. Jake Collier was all over him, gave him no respect. Striking, to me, Collier totally disrespected Chris Barnett's abilities, tried to walk him down and just get him out of there. You can't do that to a guy who has as many fights as him. Look at that. 22-8 record coming into this, 13-7 Collier. That's a lot of fucking experience. And Barnett has fought around the globe. He's always been a very heavy-set individual. Jake Collier was shredded 185 at one point. Barnett is much more used to that weight. Jake Collier going out there, throwing caution to the wind, going nuts, and having some success, I think is what led to his ultimate demise. Looking at round 2, the turnaround round for Chris Barnett, he landed good shots early. Fight goes to the floor after Collier fails a takedown attempt, and then he's stuck under Chris Barnett, and that's it. Referee has to call the fight with ground and pound. There was a lot of ground and pound by Barnett. They gave Collier a lot of chances. He could not escape the position. Chris Barnett gets himself a huge win. In the heavyweight division, he's a fun guy to keep around. He's going to be involved in matchups that people enjoy. He's not necessarily top class, but I like watching it, and I'm going to suggest maybe we give him Andrei Arlovsky. Arlovsky had a hard time with Jake Collier. Barely won that one. I think you do Chris Barnett or Arlovsky as far as just like a fun matchup for the fans. I know he recently lost to Boudet, but there was bad circumstances there. Wife passes away a day and a half before the fight, and he still chooses to go out there, and he loses a technical decision. I'd like to see him fight Andrei Arlovsky. I like Chris Barnett or Arlovsky for Collier. I have no idea really where they're going to put him because this is a fight he was really supposed to win. He was a huge favorite. A lot of people picked him to win. I thought he would actually get it done kind of by a decision, but he decided to go balls to the wall crazy, not fighting with high fight IQ, and it cost him ultimately. You can't disrespect a veteran like Chris Barnett like that and try to just knock him out in the first minute of the fight. Barnett's better than that, and he proved it. Win for Barnett, and I do think we do Andrei Arlovsky next for him. Next fight, Denis Tiuliulin and Jamie Pickett. I was concerned about this fight as it was going even early, though, because Tiuliulin was kind of going ham, throwing everything, whereas Pickett's trying to stay away, banging back a little, but he's not a banger. Pickett has never been a brawler. He's a guy that has to stay away from you, or he has to be inside of the clinch, controlling you against the cage. He got beaten in this fight, really, when it came down to the grit and dirtiness. Can't survive. The elbows in the clinch by Tiuliulin, drops Pickett, and then he covers up against the cage and is stopped late in round 2. There was nothing left for Pickett. He kind of just crumbled down. Tiuliulin's a guy that's not going to break, and he's going to keep coming. Pickett, you really crack him with some big shots, he's going to weather, and he might not weather the storm as well. He might wither instead of weather, which is what it is. That's the fight game. He was hit with really hard shots that majority of people would go down from. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to the grit toughness, Tiuliulin wins. Ultimately, underdog for a KO TKO. If you played that prop, you did it right, because that right there was a smart money play. Tiuliulin is a scrapper, and I look forward to seeing him fight again. I enjoy the style. We'll see what they do with Pickett. I don't believe they'll cut him from the UFC, but he's not a marquee guy. He's more of a prelim guy. They'll throw him up to build somebody else, I think. Certain matchups, though, he will give people problems, but against bangers that are similar in stature, almost looking them eye to eye as far as height goes, there's going to be problems, and Tiuliulin proved that there. Good win for Tiuliulin. Back-end fun fight in the weight class. I mean, beating Pickett doesn't say a ton right now. We'll see what Tiuliulin can do. Still a loss to Elise in the last one. He's a fun guy to have on the cards, and prelim fight for sure next. Jailton, Almeida, and Anton Turkalj. What a domination. Almeida just threw him around on the ground and then eventually gets the submission, totally controlling him on the mat. It was not even close. Not that I expected it to be close, but at the end of the day, I thought Turkalj had that grappling ability to not get submitted. I thought he was going to get TKO'd. Almeida is that guy. He's that level. He's that good. He's a monster. Almeida is another level. I don't know why he wants to stick at heavyweight. I mean, I guess I know why. He doesn't want to cut the weight. But if you did decide, hey, I'm going to fight at light heavyweight, I think this guy's already top contender. I think you give Jailton Almeida a lot of guys that are ranked at light heavyweight, and he's successful. Now, he said he wants to stick at heavyweight. Let's look what they have as far as roster. I want to look back end top 15. I think you rebook the Shamil Abdurakhimov fight. I think that's a good idea. Rebooking of that matchup makes a lot of sense to me. If you don't do the Abdurakhimov fight, the hardest last name to say, you go towards maybe a fight in light heavyweight with a ranked guy, Dustin Jacoby, if they're trying to kill Jacoby off. I do think you could even match him up with Jimmy Crute, ranked. Like, I think you could put him in there with ranked guys right now. I would like to see him fight Paul Craig at some point in that grappling matchup. Like, that'd be an excellent fight. Decides he wants to do heavyweight, though, I say we do Shamil Abdurakhimov rebooked, because beating Anton isn't a huge statement, especially in the heavyweight division. He's a light heavyweight. For Anton, he'll stick around in the UFC, back-end guy. We'll see what he brings to the table in the future. But he got himself in the UFC door, but dominated. Next one, featured bout of the night that more than delivered, and I'll be 100% honest with you guys, holy shit, did Julian Erosa blow my mind. This dude looked better than ever. He's so iffy. I don't even understand Erosa. Dawodu, I thought he's going to get him. He's going to stop him. He's going to knock him out. He's more technical. He's more explosive. No. Julian Erosa looks better than ever, crisp as hell on the feet, finding uppercuts, beautiful work in the clinch. On the ground, he manhandles Dawodu. Julian Erosa looks like a fucking problem in the featherweight division. I don't know about like top 5. I'm not saying that much, but a problem for dudes at the back end of the rankings. Julian Erosa's kind of working his way there. And he's an OG of the game because he was in the Ultimate Fighter season with Conor McGregor as the coach with Uriah Faber. He fought Artem Lobov, lost there, in and out of the UFC multiple times, finds the way back, and has now found his flow. And if you look at the wins for him, I mean, it's not just Dawodu that he's beaten that is a pretty decent fighter. He kind of is like the prospect killer. He totally ended prospect Sean Woodson. And then he also beats Nate Landwehr, who's an absolute savage. The loss to Sung Woo Choi, but now 3 straight. Jourdain win, which is a pretty solid win that he got to finish. Barely beat Steven Peterson on a split, but then he dominates Hakeem Dawodu. I don't know if they give him a ranked guy next, but if they were considering giving him someone at the very back end, like an Alex Caceres fight, I don't believe he's ever fought Alex Caceres, and they're 2 OGs. I kind of love that matchup. No, they haven't thrown down. Paddy Pimblett fight, this is way back. We're looking at the tough days. He was a good fighter on The Ultimate Fighter. I mean, he made it fairly far. What did he make it to? It was the semifinals, right? He lost to Artem Lobov at the very end. Yeah, that's semifinals. He made it close. He made it close to the top. And Artem looked like a killer on that season. I don't know. Maybe you do the fight with him and Alex Caceres for Dawodu. Bad loss. I don't know where he goes from here, because this was one that he was supposed to win. He had to get past the Erosa test. He sent back kind of far here after this loss. Unfortunate. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure to smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel. It is Johnny Walker versus Yohan Cutelaba. Johnny Walker did it. Pulls off the win. Ends up tapping out Cutelaba. Kind of blows my mind that he was able to pull that one off by sub, because Cutelaba, dangerous-ass wrestler, and Johnny Walker known for the knockout. You see Cutelaba get him to the ground early. They get back up. Walker slams Cutelaba, has the back. Looks like he's about to give up position. They fight back and forth. It's a hell of a fucking matchup, like, on the floor. These two are fighting hard for it. And you think probably Johnny Walker wins the round and we're going to go long. And then instead, you see him choke out Yohan Cutelaba. I want to make sure I'm 100% remembering it accurately. It was the rear naked choke. Yeah, it was the rear naked choke that he barely had at first. He was squeezing the face, and he kept working towards it, kept shooting under, keep finding it, and boom, finally gets the ultimate rear naked and locks it up, tap, win. Johnny Walker, he's back. Granted, Cutelaba not a top-line guy. Still a good win, in my opinion, man. I think this is really needed for Johnny Walker. Moving forward, Walker is still going to be given hellish fights as far as ranked guys, and this is kind of scary for him because matchup-wise, he's forced to fight absolute savages time in and time out. Who are they going to match him up with? Johnny Walker versus Jimmy Crute? Johnny Walker, Dustin Jacoby? I don't even know. Matchmaking super hard here. I think wait it out a bit for Johnny Walker. Let the division unfold, and we'll see if somebody emerges. Because Johnny Walker is ranked still, and he had an impressive win. But there's straight killers as far as that weight class as you move up. I know he's planning on working his way back to contention. Iffy, very iffy. Said he gave up the CBD. He definitely performed much better than he has in the past, but very ifs. Cutelaba, he's a tough journey, man. Unfortunately, not beating the best guys. He doesn't have the jiu-jitsu. He has the wrestling. But ultimately, succumbs to Johnny Walker by submission. Good fight to start off the main. Next fight, it was Irene Aldana and Macy Chiasson. Round one, Aldana dominated. Kind of got the tap, to be honest. I mean, Chiasson tapped once, but it's what it is. The fight continued. Ref didn't see it. She didn't tap again. The arm didn't snap. We continue. Macy Chiasson fought out of a crazy-ass armbar that was like super, super deep. She got destroyed with ground and pound at the end of that first round. Then she comes out in round two and dominates Aldana. Very dominant positions on the floor. Looks like she may finish her on the ground. Good shots landing, ground and pound. Commentary table very biased towards Chiasson as soon as the fight started for whatever reason. I don't know if why. I guess they're kind of just seeing all the good Chiasson's doing. We're not recognizing Aldana was doing great. Granted, the fight shifted, tide turned. It looked like they were going to see a win for Chiasson, even in the third. Up kick to the body lands right on the liver as Chiasson is like over Aldana, trying to, get inside, maybe try to pass the guard, get the side control, half guard, whatever she can get. Aldana's throwing up kicks, lands one right to the body. It crumbles Chiasson. I've never seen it. It's an up kick knockout, but to the body. Insane. Liver shot. Done. Not headshot dead, but liver shot dead. Pound for pound, not so much, but she's still ranked for sure as far as top girls go. Irene Aldana, number 4, gets a good win here. She beat Kunitskaya. Now she beats Chiasson, but she was on the way to kind of losing that fight. I think maybe a Ketlin Vieira rematch is something to do. She knocked Vieira out bad, but I'd like to see them do it again. Winner of that fight would fight Nunes for the title, because I think she's right there for a number 1 contender fight, but I have a hard time selling her in a title fight without one more win, because she kind of barely beat Chiasson. For Chiasson, tough loss, pushed back. I think you jump to 45, she could find herself right in line for a title. Maybe they give her Danyelle Wolf. Even though Wolf just lost the person that she beat, I don't think that matters. And I honestly don't think Danyelle Wolf should take that fight with Chiasson. I think way too much for her. But it might be something that happens if Chiasson says, yeah, I'm going to go to 45. Because she's fighting at this awkward 140-pound catch weight. She's not making the weight. This is a consistent issue. I don't feel that she's a real 35er. She just doesn't want to do 45. I think maybe better now, commit to 45, get a little more muscle on her. I think she's a problem for a ton of girls up there, besides the champion, of course. Let's get to the featured bout of the night. Daniel Rodriguez and Li Jingliang. Extremely competitive matchup. Very technical fight. The crowd was booing a lot during it, but they don't deserve to be booed here. These guys don't deserve to be booed. It's still a technical fight. These guys are fighting each other on very short notice. Leach giving up 10 pounds. Rodriguez gets the split. Ultimately, I thought it was a very coin flip toss-up fight. I definitely see how they gave it to D-Rod. He had some decent jabs. I think the weight gave him a little bit of the push. His jab was stiffer. I was saying this on the stream is I felt like if there's any punch that got a little extra pop, it's that stiff jab, that body weight, that extra 10 pounds. I personally think it kept Leach off of him better than maybe it would have at 170. Rodriguez said he feels really good at 180, but there's no weight class there. Is he thinking maybe 85? I don't know if that's a great move. I think he's a little bit undersized for the top guys at 85, but granted, 35 years of age, beats Leach now. If he decides to go to 170, I mean, that's a pretty solid win to have Li Jingliang under the belt. I don't think they're going to rebook the Holland fight now. So Daniel Rodriguez is in an interesting position where he's kind of a back-end top 15 welterweight right now, in my opinion, because Jingliang was ranked 14. Does he maybe fight a Vicente Luque? Do they make that fight? Luque coming off a bad loss, depending on how much time Rodriguez wants off. Does he maybe fight a Neil Magny or a Pereira? Does he fight a Michel Pereira? I believe Pereira's in the works with Wonderboy Thompson, if I'm not mistaken. But if that fight is available, it's not a terrible idea. I don't think you want Shavkat Rakhmonov, but if they said he's fighting Shavkat, would he take it? Ultimately, Rodriguez is finding himself in a great spot. Fought a guy in Leach who was 10 pounds less and ranked, as opposed to fighting Kevin Holland, who's got the reach and height advantage over him, and it would have been at that 180-pound catch weight, and Holland is not ranked. So for Rodriguez, this kind of worked out great. 10-pound advantage, ranked guy. He's moving to the rankings now. He gets a ranked fight next for sure. He has to. Rodriguez, very competitive fight. Toss-up, coin flip. Could have gone either way. Kind of like even Stevens matchup ultimately. So the 10-pound weight difference, how I would score it, I'd say scored a damn draw. It's an even fight. But Jingliang, unfortunately, doesn't come through as a dog, but I still think he's a dangerous fighter, man. It's hard to switch fights, matchups. He was supposed to fight T. Ferg, and now they give him Daniel Rodriguez. That was a harder fight, 100%. Next one. Khamzat Chimaev and Kevin Holland. I would smash them all. I would get him as well. I'm going to smash everyone. Now his new thing is as well. You notice that Khamzat saying as well all the time. That's funny. Listen, Khamzat has become the most hated guy in the fight game, at least to a lot of these American fans. He's like the evil dude. He's the heel. He's the villain now. Khamzat's the villain now for a lot of people. He's still a savage. He's still extremely good. I will say that glove touch, like Colin was going for the glove, then boom, on the legs. Smart by Khamzat. Good gamesmanship. Get him to the ground as soon as possible. Locks up a submission, and he kept fighting for it. Like, I'm very impressed by Khamzat's top game. It's world class. I think he's an elite grappler at this point, and he's going to destroy guys that don't have that elite grappling pedigree. How does he fare when he fights someone towards the extreme top now? Because he beat Gilbert Burns in very competitive fashion, but he's kind of looking better the way he destroyed Kevin Holland. Like, I don't know. It hypes some shit up. Does he want to fight at 70, or are we going to 85? This is a very weird predicament. Yes, Khamzat looked like a straight killer, but we don't really know what's going to be next now, which is a weird situation. I'm looking at 170 pounds. I'm going to say 170. Khamzat Chimaev probably fighting Colby Covington is the fight that makes the most sense. I don't know about title shot after this win. I think a Covington fight makes sense. I don't think Masvidal wants any piece of him. I don't think he should. Bilal Muhammad, that fight could be made, maybe, but Bilal right now, I think the Sean Brady fight might be on the horizon. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that fight sells enough. I think Covington Khamzat, USA versus Russia. Are you kidding me? They just made this fight. We're doing it at 170. It's USA versus Russia. Colby Covington, Khamzat Chimaev, the Chechen versus the American. USA, come on, bro. Like, this is the genius matchmaking and marketing to put Khamzat in the best opportunity to then really sell that title fight. I think you do that matchup as a pay-per-view. It's a main event. And it'll sell. People want to see Khamzat lose now. If he's going up a weight class, this is where things get interesting. Paulo Costa's a viable option, but I do think Paulo Costa, as big as he is, kind of a hard fight because of that size difference. I feel like he could find success in the wrestling, though. I wouldn't count out Khamzat against anyone in the world right now at 170 or 85. I think against Usman, he could be very effective. Against Edwards, he can be extremely effective. Up a weight class against Adesanya, that would be very interesting because would Adesanya's size allow him to, eliminate that same threat of the wrestling with distance management? We'd have to see that fight. Don't go for a damn glove touch on Khamzat. I'm telling you, nobody glove touched this man as the fight's about to start. You about to get taken the hell down because he's blasting for takedowns from the start now. Khamzat Chimaev, good win for him. Beats Kevin Holland. Holland, I don't know what's next for him. He took a huge opportunity on very short notice to try to jump the rankings all the way to the top, and he gets sent back hard here. Hard send back because he's now proven he's not a top guy. Gets submitted early. I don't know who they'll give him, man. I have no idea. We'll see what the UFC decides. Hopefully a fun matchup with someone who doesn't have the wrestling pedigree of Khamzat Chimaev next. Let's get to the main event. If you guys haven't yet, make sure to smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe. Main event, Nate Diaz, Tony Ferguson. These two went after it in a very awkward fight. I had Nate in rounds 1 and 2, Ferguson round 3, and then Nate finishes it by guillotine in round 4. The tap, which honestly, from the angle it was at, you're thinking maybe he went to sleep, but Ferguson actually tapped to a guillotine. Nate locks it up as Ferguson shot. Guillotine choke for the win. Pretty fucking crazy. On the feet, early, you see a little bit more with the boxing of Diaz. Ferguson having more success with the low kicks. Kind of the story of the fight. And then it led up to, as the low kick started really to show some damage on Nate Diaz, it was looking competitive. And then Tony steals that third. He's attacking leg kicks well. It seems like, you know, Ferguson's in the flow, but his face is so busted up. Nate Diaz doesn't bleed at all. Ferguson leaking everywhere. Who would have bet that Nate Diaz doesn't bleed in this fight, which is absolutely insane? He put on a really good performance. And he's in a weird spot because he said after the fight too, which he outboxed Tony Ferguson for sure, and he showed good boxing. Those low kicks are a problem. Diaz got such an awkward style. This fight looked super weird. He was on his knees. He was walking away. He was saying no, no, no. He's putting his arms outside of the cage. The matchup was so freaking odd, but ultimately it was a lot of fun to watch. Nate gets the win, beats T-Ferg, says, I plan on fighting in other organizations, doing things. I'm the creme de la creme. So I don't know what he wants to do. I think he wants to make a fuckload of money. I think Nate Diaz wants to box. Who's that against? Maybe Jake Paul. Maybe Floyd Mayweather. Is that fight out of the fucking question 100%? I'd kind of be interested in seeing those two go after it. I know Nate talked about it years ago. Would they want to do it now? I don't know. Maybe. Probably Jake Paul. I feel like Conor McGregor is still a potential next fight. McGregor is still, I believe, ranked in the lightweight division. What's he sitting at? Let's see. Mystic Mac, lightweight division. Is he still there? He's got to still be there. He's number 12 at lightweight. Would we do Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor? Would the UFC maybe sign him to some deal where he can do the boxing and then next up is Conor? Because I would like to see him and Conor McGregor for a trilogy. I think that's the obvious next fight. It sells so well. It's the biggest fight in MMA right now. Him talking about doing other things puts himself in a power position. The UFC better pay for him to fight Conor McGregor a third time. But that's the fight. Guys, come on. McGregor-Diaz 3 has to happen before he leaves. He talked about, I'm going to leave and then come fight for the belt. Come on, man. Come on. Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz 3. The story can't be written any better than now. After this win over T-Ferg, Conor's been out for a while, just main evented. The Diaz hype train's going through the roof now. They switched up the Khamzat fight by some fluke chance. Day of, Khamzat missing the weight. Like, come on. A lot of weird scenarios. The press conference is canceled. Why'd they cancel that press conference? Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor 3. It's going to happen. Dana White will sign the whole Nick Diaz army if he has to. We need to see that third fight with McGregor. And everybody knows we have to see it, especially with Nate off a win. For Ferguson, he is in a very tough spot. Does he stay at welterweight and really build himself into it? Does he get a rebooking versus Jingliang? Gosh, I hope not. I really hope the fuck not. I don't think he'll fare well against Leach. I don't want to see him fight anybody ranked right now. I don't really know who Tony Ferguson fights next. I kind of think chill for a while. Consider maybe calling it. 5 straight losses is not a good look. And he's kind of out of that title picture. He's in this very weird situation now where it's like too far gone. It's 5 in a row. He's not the same after that Gaethje interim title fight. And then it's been loss. And he looked a bit slow in this fight as far as his hands, the turning the back. Things look awkward. And Nate Diaz is awkward as shit. So maybe it kind of works with Nate. The low kicks were decent, but it wasn't good enough, I feel like. I still think Tony Ferguson is dangerous, don't get me wrong. But I don't know who the hell's next. He's just fought in a main event. He's not getting cut from the UFC. But matchups-wise, like, does he fight Dustin Poirier if Poirier ends up losing to Michael Chandler? I don't know if that makes any sense. He's lost so many fights now in the interim, but his name is so huge. No idea. Ferguson's in a very weird spot. Nate Diaz, though, ultimately, I think power is in his hands. Conor McGregor fight, maybe a Jake Paul fight, maybe a Floyd Mayweather fight. Either way, no matter what, it's huge money for Nate Diaz. He's a plus money dog. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Overall, it was a pretty damn good card. I was live for the entire thing. I'll give this card, it's got to get like a B rating, but the main event is A++ because it's a Nate Diaz show. Ultimately, I do want to give you guys my record for the picks on the night. What is that? 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, but that was controversial. Or not controversial, super close, not controversial. So 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. 4-1 on the main card, very good. 4-2, 5-2, 5-3, 5-4, 5-5, 6-5, 6-6, 6-7. But Darian Week should have won the split decision. So I'm going to say 7-6 for the night. And you know what? This Reed Martinez fight, I talked about it as a coin flip, and I said Reed's a good bet. So in a sense, we're pushing that up to like, what do we do? 7-5 with one no contest, something like that. Ultimately, it is, though, 6-7 officially. Unfortunately, that's the fight game. Overall, UFC 279, I do believe delivered, and it was not the card we started with earlier in the week. We then got Diaz-Ferguson, Legends matchup. I enjoyed the hell out of the show. As always, UFC bringing the heat. I hope you guys enjoyed the post-fight show. Make sure you smash the hell out of the like button. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel. Keep it locked in here at MMA Experts. 6-hour live stream down and then jumping right into the post-fight show. Got to do it for the people. Much love. Stay tuned for the full card breakdown for this UFC Fight Night Sandhagen versus Yohan card coming up next week. Can't wait for that one. Thank you all so much, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everybody.